Hi everyone, welcome to the P23 Africa podcast, where we discuss all things business within Africa. I'm here with my co-host Lio.
Hi everyone, it's Lio.
Great. So today we are just going to be looking at a few topics and questions around African entrepreneurship. So I want to first start with our first dilemma from a small business owner. So we have Amina, who runs a fashion business in Lagos. Now she's asked us, that she's trying to grow her fashion business in Lagos. And she's recently received a large order from a prominent retailer. And this is a huge opportunity for her. But to be able to fulfill the order, she needs to be able to compromise on the sustainability of the materials that she uses. And she would also have to overwork her team, given the fact that they don't have the resources to fulfill such a big order. And she's stuck between, how does she facilitate this rapid growth without it hindering her current structure? So, Lyle, what would your advice be to Amina?
Okay, so based on this dilemma here, there are key things that we need to highlight first off. In every entrepreneur's world, there are things that they must hold dear to their hearts, which is their core values. Their core values is what keeps them going. So what is the main purpose of starting the business in the first place? That is one of the things that will keep them going. And from this scenario, it's obvious that Amina has really good initiatives concerning her business, and she is looking at the long-term plan about the business. So most definitely, she would have to do something relating to sustainability and long-term purposes. In doing this, she has multiple options. So it is a situation whereby she can go back to the retailer, having a conversation with the retailer, a sit down in terms of a breakdown basically, having a situation of, this is the materials I would like to use for this job you've given to me. Would you want a situation whereby I reduce the material and I'll meet up to the timeline? Or do you want me to procure good materials? This is where she brings a portfolio, basically, the long-standingness of our business. This is where she brings it into play. She has to be able to make the retailer know that she stands for good business and good business alone. And standing for good business means that she has to use good materials. So she cannot undercut now, but she cannot put herself in a point whereby our work does not speak for her, because she doesn't know how far that work is going to go. Because in the fashion business, anybody can look at your clothes. Anybody can see your clothes at any time. I don't know if you get me. So that is one of the things that I would think she should be able to speak to the retailer about. What do you think, Tuka?
One thing I would say is that, she could also, it might eat into her profit, but it would be a growth strategy that she could utilize. Is that she could use the profit that she would make from this job to build more resources, to get more people in, buy more material. It might mean that, yes, in the end she doesn't make much from this. However, she's able to build a relationship and a track record with this bigger retailer. So in the long run, it might ensure more business coming in if she's able to invest, if she's able to give up the profits that she would make this time around. So that's what I would encourage Amina to kind of look at as well.
And that's quite beautiful in real sense. I was also thinking on that line that she can venture into partnerships with maybe suppliers. She can venture into hiring temporary people, so it doesn't cut into her business on a long-term purpose. So she does not have to still retain them after the job is done.
So we hope that's helpful for you, Amina, and you're able to take some of that advice and utilize it for the sustainable growth of your business. Looking at entrepreneurship in Africa, and kind of trying to understand where the spirit of entrepreneurship comes from. I don't want to give the age-old response of it's because the government's not doing what they're doing and things like that. We all know that, that's been a situation for a while. There has been some progress, so I'll give that. Some governments are trying really hard to try and engage entrepreneurship. But I do think that the spirit does come from, from a place of lack. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, I've lived in London most of my life, and, you know, there isn't that same sort of passion or drive or a need to kind of do something for self. That self-reliance doesn't really exist in the same sort of way. And I think it's something that's kind of missing in like Western society, whereas like African entrepreneurs have it down to the wire, really. And they know how to utilize small things and get the best out of it. And I think that spirit, even though it has been cultivated in an environment, quite a harsh environment, I think is definitely one of the benefits.
So that is actually a very, very good point, because the level of creativity and innovations the Africans have is, in a way, is built out of the self-reliance that you mentioned, really. Because now most Africans now, they know how to bring forth things that you never expected. They think outside the box. The level of creativity they have is top-notch, really. You would see it in likes of entrepreneurs in the fintech industry and all, in the fashion industry, really. The designs, the concepts they bring, you wonder, where did they get this from? And it's really beautiful, really, how well they are doing.
It is. And even when you look at, you know, examples of African entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs, there are so many. There are so many. I don't necessarily just want to limit it down to a few people, but I think one thing I kind of want to focus like in on is the fact that there are entrepreneurs who really provide solutions that are very specific to the continent, that work so well. Even something like mobile money is something that's very unique to the African continent, and obviously other quote unquote third worlds, I say the global south, and something that really speaks to the utilization or the need of the local people. But you know, you have notable entrepreneurs like Dangote, and we all know who he is and how he is. You know, one of the richest, or if not the richest, black man in the world. And he chooses to still be in Nigeria, live in Nigeria, do business in Nigeria, which I think speaks volume to the potential of the African continent.
Oh yes, most definitely. It does speak volume to the component and the potential of the African continent, because he's saying something, most definitely, because he did not live in Nigeria. His businesses are still in Nigeria, meaning that he has found how will I put it, a gold pot, so to say, that he's tapping it from, because is working for him. So even the older versions of entrepreneurs, like coming down to younger people, we see the likes of the founder of Flutterwave. You know Flutterwave, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
This fintech company that helps with payments passed away. See how well they were able to utilize this. And now every company is able to make payments easy, and businesses are thriving from that. They are making their money, businesses are making their money, and everybody is fine. So they found a problem and they solved it. And that is something that one has to keep having in their mind, because for you to grow as an entrepreneur, you must always find solutions to a problem.
Yeah, you do. Yes. And I also want to look at one aspect where right now, you know, raising money for business is the new age. You know, everybody's raising money from here, there. And the realities of African entrepreneurs is that there isn't, pretty much all African entrepreneurs have to bootstrap. You know, there is no private money from anywhere. You know, there's a funding epidemic, or lack of funding epidemic. But I think that it helps with creativity, with productivity, with just being resourceful as well. So for you, Layo, you've lived in Nigeria your whole life. kind of understanding business from a legal point of view anyway. What type of challenges, and please give us examples of maybe like shows of resilience from the entrepreneurs.
So over the course of my years of practice, I've been able to sit down in conversations, in finance conversations as well regarding financial complaints. And I've been able to hear and deliberate on regulatory policies whereby most of these directors have to deal with a lot of frameworks. Now, when I mean frameworks, every day there is something new coming up. There is a new policy coming up. There is a new strategy coming up. Now, in recent times, CBN is set to increase their interest rates to up to 30%. And the effect of this on entrepreneurs means that if they do borrow loans from banks, the repayment period and the interest on it is quite high. So when would they factor in their profits? When would they factor in payments of salaries to other people? And aside from that, there are times that they just bring up policies that they are expected of companies to have. And aside from even regulatory bodies, you see House of Assemblies, yes, I think House of Representatives of the government, they setting up committees to find out more about financial complaints, sending letters to financial complaints, and you wonder, do they really have the authority to do this? And these things all together affect the positivity and the creative mind of this managing directors, because they are set on course to launch a product, to launch an app, to launch a service, and they are slammed with a sort of policy. They are slammed with payment of this. They are slammed with all forms of frameworks, and you when you try to question it, you cannot really question it because it's coming from the main body itself. So it's all together an effort to futility, so to say. But as it is, we go back to the creativity and the innovations that these entrepreneurs have. They find a way around it, and they burst out of every form of hindrance, so to say. So it's really beautiful how they are able to do it regardless of the challenges that they face. So
I think you're right. And I think if I was kind of looking at, what advice I would give to, aspiring entrepreneurs, I would say you have to believe in your idea. And believing in your idea means that first you have to start. That's the hardest thing that people deal with, is starting. People will talk about the idea, they will dream about the idea, they'll be waffling away about the idea. One day, the idea, you just need to begin. Forget all of this, I don't know this, I don't have this, I don't, whatever it is. But once you start and you start failing forward, then you'll see that you'll move so much quicker than when you're talking to your friends about some idea that's never going to happen. And then, the second thing is that you need to also be consistent. Like, as they always say, the main part of the game is to stay in it. Do you understand? So you just have to stay in the game. Whatever you do, just stay in the game. And that is, what being consistent is all about. Because if you can stay in it long enough, then you'll start to really see some sort of result. So that's really what I would say to aspiring entrepreneurs. Just stay focused, work hard, and don't give up. What about you, Lyle?
I think I'm going to use your word, like the phrase you just made mention of, stay in the game. It's quite catchy and I love it. Stay in the game. And how would you stay in the game? You do that by networking. Your consistent act will lead to more expansion, because not only are you expanding business, while you're expanding in your capacity mentally. You will be able to walk into meetings, you'll be able to have conversations with people, and you'll be blown away as to how creative people are. And as you know, you cannot know everything here. So it is from the networking, it's from the expansion and the collaborations you have that you'll be able to see another perspective to this business world. So you'll be able to gain more ideas, you'll be able to produce more services, really. And it goes back to the catchphrase, stay in the game. Do not lose focus. Once you start, stay in the game. And always surround yourself with productive people. You're as good as your weakest link, because the weakest person in your circle determines how far and how good your business is really. So you have to make sure that you surround yourself with creative and productive people like yourself, people that think in the same way you think, people that have your same level of ideology, they have your same level of drive. You cannot push further, you cannot go further in your business if you're surrounded with people that do not have that zeal or that drive. So as much as you're staying in the game, make sure you're equipping yourself with quality people as well. And that is beautiful in its own self. So aside from that, what else do you think we can give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Kind of adding to that, we do have up and coming events, and our next one will be in Abuja, and it's all about helping businesses to really grow and expand. But do check out our website for all that information. And if we are coming to your town with an event soon, make sure you're there, you lock in. It's going to be very good. Also, to kind of mention what P23 does, as we've been discussing the whole podcast about sustainable business, our ethos, our mission is all about being able to support businesses in their sustainability. And how do we do that? Whether it's through your operations, your branding, your sales, or the efficiency of your business, we're here to support. And how we work with our clients is that we provide personalized strategies that really just speak to the nature and the industry of the business that you're into. Our thing is not just about giving you advice and kind of just leaving you to it. We like to stay with our clients. We love to advise and implement to ensure that, what we've told you is something that's going to actually help, and not just something you pay for and, you push it to one side after a while. If you aren't already locked in on our social media, follow us everywhere at P23 Africa, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and, where you'll be able to catch up with a lot more of the content that we do provide. But it's been great having you today. Thank you so much, Lyle, for joining me today on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Chuka, for having me. I had so much fun on this podcast.
So stay tuned in for our up and coming podcast, where you get to hear, a selection of thoughts and voices in the business world from our team. Thank you, guys.
And do not forget, stay in the game.